Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. It has been a little while since I popped on. I did an impromptu practice question live. And so here I am today. I had a few minutes free in between sessions, so I thought I'd pop on and see who's out there, and whoever wants to join me can come on in. First, before I get started, I just want to say congratulations to many of you who have taken your exam over the past few weeks, over the past month, and have been doing exceptionally well. I'm getting a lot of notices in my inbox about passing the exam. Not only am I getting the notices in my inbox, but I do see people posting all over Facebook, really excited about passing either their LMSW exam or their LCSW exam. And I just want to congratulate you all for your due diligence, for working really hard and not giving up. I know as well as you know that this exam is not an easy one, and it hasn't been designed to be easy, and so it can be quite tasking. But I just want to encourage you, don't give up, don't lose faith, don't lose hope, just hang in there and your time is coming. The most important thing is to stay focused on your why, what it is that you're doing, why it is that you're doing it, and what is your end game, what's your goal, what are you working for, and what are you working towards. Our journey is very different, and because our journey is different, we cannot navigate this process or run this race the way that we see other people doing it. And so it is really important that you understand what it is that you need to do for you, and that you stay in your lane, you stay specific to what makes sense to you, and don't be afraid to do the research, do the work, and do the follow-up. It's one thing to have someone tell you stuff. It's another thing to follow up, get the information, and understand it for yourself. Now, it's good to have people point you in the direction. It's good to have a coach to guide you along the way. But at the end of the day, if you don't understand the work for yourself, and if you cannot incorporate these techniques, these strategies, these skills, and know it for yourself, then it's all for naught anyway. You might get that paper, but once you get out there in that field and you're really in the mix of it all and doing the work, you'll see how important this process has been. So now that I got that out the way, I'm just going to go ahead and move forward and share this practice question with you guys. Okay, so let's see what we got here. We do this quick and easy and painless. All right, there we go. So let's read this here. You are a social worker in private practice. You are working on completing a biopsychosocial evaluation with your client. When the client has arrived for his therapy session, you notice that his clothes were disheveled, his hair unkempt, and he smelled of heavy cigarette smoke. He appeared to be restless and irritable. When you asked him a question, he looked down to the floor and began to mumble, which made it difficult to understand what he was saying. The social worker should continue this evaluation by first completing A, mental status exam, B, a suicide assessment, C, a beck depressive inventory, and D, substance abuse screening. So what I did here first is the first thing that we all need to do. And I don't want to make this sound, like you don't know what you need to do, but I think it's really important to kind of like point out information so that you can understand the importance of what it is that you're doing. So after I first read this question, what came to my mind is, what are they asking me, or what type of question is this? And when I read through it, what first came to my mind is understanding the design and the type of question that's being asked here and what it is that I need to know and understand before I can move forward with answering the question. And so when I see the four answer choices as being mental status exam, a suicide assessment, back depressive inventory, and the substance abuse, I know right there, instantly, it's kind of like a recall question. I'm being assessed on my understanding of knowing various types of assessments or what I need to do. All right. So when I look at these assessments and understanding that, I'm being assessed or tested there, I need to go back to the vignette to kind of get a clear understanding of which one of these would best suit or best fit the question that's being asked of me. So I know that I'm a social worker and I'm working in a private practice setting, right? That's just a given. Now, it also says here that I'm working on completing a biopsychosocial evaluation for my client, right? It didn't say that I'm done, but I'm in the process. I'm working on it. So I'm developing that assessment, and that's important to note, okay? And so when I see that, I want to pay attention to that. I don't want to ignore that. As a matter of fact, I don't want to ignore anything. It's so important for me to make sure that I read through each and every sentence slowly and carefully to pay attention to each word choice that's being used so I could get a good understanding of what's being said to me. We have a tendency of just reading really quickly and then jump into the answer choices and trying to answer the question without first having a complete understanding of what's being asked. Okay, so right there where it says we're working on completing a biopsychosocial evaluation, keep that in mind. I'm not done. I'm in the process of doing it. I'm developing it. I'm building it. So I can draw an inference to state that my client is sitting there with me and I'm asking different questions to complete this biopsychosocial, or I'm doing what's necessary to complete the biopsychosocial assessment. So that's the inference that I'm drawing. And when you're drawing inference, you're learning how to read in between the lines. You're not assuming, you're not making up stuff, but based on what you are given, you can draw inference and be able to see what's actually happening, what's taking place. So when the client has arrived for his therapy session, you noticed, all right? So apparently some type of observation is taking place here. So you notice that his clothes were disheveled, his hair was unkempt, and he smelled of heavy cigarette smoke, right? And so when we see that, what we do know is that they are describing the client to us, right? They're using words that they're using descriptive words to help us understand that we're observing something and we see something going on. So now we got some descriptors. So pay attention to that. Never discount that, right? And so now that we got these descriptors, this is what we notice. So this is you, the therapist, sitting in the seat, working with the client, and you're noticing these things about him. His hair is messy, his clothes is a mess, and he smells. He smells of cigarette smoke, which means he probably was smoking before he came into your office. He also appeared to be restless and irritable. Okay. And so now we got some kind of mood descriptor in there as well. When you ask him a question, he wasn't able to, talk to you clearly. He put his head down and he began to mumble, and it made it very difficult for you to understand. All right. So it's not a whole lot of information given here, but the information that was given is pertinent and it's useful. And instantly, when I read this and when I saw this, the first thing that popped in my head was that this therapist was taking a mental status exam. That's the first thing that popped in my head, even before I saw the answer choices. And what made me say that? Now, this is where understanding and knowing your content is so important. It's one thing, to study, how to answer questions or how to break down a question and different things like that. But none of that is useful if you don't understand the content. And so when we're studying the material, when we're looking at the KSA list of all the information that has been given to us, mental status exam is one of those things that falls up under there. You know, it's part of the process. It's part of something that we do every single day when we come in contact with clients, or it's something that we should be doing every single day when we come in contact with a client. Now, here's another little nugget that I want to drop in your ear. It doesn't matter what type of social work you're doing. Completing a mental status exam, this right here, is relevant whether you are a school social worker, whether you are a medical social worker, whether you are a community social worker, whether you are an outpatient therapist in private practice, and the list goes on. Basically, what we always do is we always take a quick snapshot of the individual that is in front of us, or at least we should be. Okay, that's the first thing that we need to do. We need to observe them. We need to see, you know, what they look like and what their appearance is like. And are they able to make good contact, eye contact? Are they speaking to us well? And yada, yada, yada. I could go down the list of a whole bunch of things that we should be doing when we come in contact with each individual that we work with on a daily basis. And so with that being said, and knowing that, the stem of the question asks us, what should the social worker, or the social worker should continue to complete this evaluation by first doing what? That keyword in there that lets us know what we should be doing first is completing this mental status exam. And the reason why I can easily say that without feeling like or confused, when I look at answer choice B, which is a suicide assessment, and I go back to the vignette, there's nothing in the vignette that points to we need to be screening him for suicide at this particular phase in our treatment process, because we haven't gotten that far as of yet to hear or see anything that suggests that he may be suicidal, or maybe playing with some suicidal thoughts. Once we start adding different things and reading into what is not stated and start assuming what could be, we put ourselves in a very dangerous situation to begin to start selecting wrong answers. If we're doing that on this exam, if we're assuming and we're adding without collecting all the data or getting all the information or being well informed, we do our clients a disservice. So this particular client that's in front of me right now, here's where we are right now in the here and now. I've only gotten to the part or the phase of being able to observe him or doing a mental status. So I'm going to rule out answer choice B, because right now there's nothing stating that I need to do a suicide assessment. So I'm sticking with A for right now. When I look at answer choice C, the Beck depressive inventory, again, same concept. When I go back and I look at the vignette, I don't see anything in this vignette that points to the fact that he may be depressed at this particular phase of where I am in the assessment process. So I'm still just doing my mental status. I'm still trying to gather some information. I'm still trying to get a clear picture of what's going on with this client. And so because of that, I'm going to stick with answer choice A as being my best answer choice at this particular time. So right now, choice B is ruled out for me and choice C is ruled out for me. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to look at answer choice D, which says substance abuse screening. Well, again, I'm going to go back to my vignette. And again, if I start suggesting that maybe there's something more going on with him and maybe I need to assess him for substance abuse, right now I'm skipping steps. And what I mean by that, I'm just jumping. That's not to say that maybe he's not dealing with depression, or maybe he's not suicidal, or maybe he's not even abusing any types of substances. That's not to say that these things aren't happening. But what it is suggesting is that for the purpose of this exam, we have to understand the incremental steps that we need to take. And this is one of those questions that is assessing your understanding and your knowledge in terms of what comes first, next, last. And so before you end up doing a suicide assessment or a depressive inventory or a substance abuse screening inventory, you need to first get through the process of asking the questions and see where we are, because what we want to make sure is that we understand who this client is and what's a normal baseline functioning for this particular client. And that's what a mental status exam help us to determine and help us to do. So when I'm looking at the 4 answer choices, the best of the 4, and I didn't say the correct answer, I am going to stress the best of the 4 answer choices is answer choice A. And so for those of you who selected answer choice A, good job. That is the correct answer. And here's the rationale. Now, I've already explained it as I was talking. So when you know what a mental status exam is, it makes it a little bit more clear for you to understand why we want to stick with answer choice A first as opposed to B, C, or D. So a mental status exam is the psychological equivalent of a physical exam that describes the mental state and behaviors of a person being seen. It includes both objective observations of the clinician and the subjective descriptions given by the patient. It is important to ascertain what is normal for the patient before moving on to make any assumptions about what is transpiring with the client. After such and gathering the information needed, if you detect or note any other concerns based on appearance, speech, thought, cognition, behavior, etc., then you can move on to do any other screening assessments as deemed necessary. Now, I shared this because, again, sometimes in our studying process, because we've been studying in a certain way and trying to memorize a particular system or a particular way of doing things, our brain begins to lock in this way of answering questions without really delving into what's going on. And sometimes it could be real tricky. And because we've seen that word, let me move back here. Because we've seen that word suicide assessment, we're going to think safety first, move into safety. He's mumbling, he's irritable, he's restless, he's not dressed right, maybe he's, and then we start assuming. And that's very dangerous. And I think sometimes what happens when we study a system or a technique or try to find a way of doing something to break down the questions and how we should answer the questions, in this or that order, we find ourselves getting into trouble because our brain is prone to think the way that we study. But if you study for understanding, if you study for internalization, if you study to understand the concepts and what's in front of you, then no matter what type of question you're given, because you have a basic understanding, this is a basic exam, although it is very difficult, you don't have to be an expert in any particular area. You don't need to be a private practice owner or a private practice therapist in order to understand how to do a mental status exam. You just need to know what a mental status exam is and when it's to be done. And so when you understand those concepts, you can put things in order and be able to select the best answer choice and not the correct answer choice, because any one of these could be correct at any time. I could change the wording in the vignette on any one of these situations, and choice A, B, C, or D could be the best answer choice for this particular situation. So I want to caution you guys, just take your time, read through each question, pay attention to every word that has been given, because every word counts. When you read for understanding, learn the difference between drawing inferences and making assumptions. Assumptions will lead you down the dangerous path. Drawing inferences will help you to connect facts, what is given, the information that you already have with information that you've studied, and synthesize those together to come up with a good assessment for what is going on. And then you can take that information and connect it to the best answer choice. That's all I have for you this morning. We have transitioned into the afternoon. That's all I have for you this afternoon. At any time, guys, if you want some more practice with this, you can go to my YouTube page, which I've already put in the comment section, so you can hit that link and go to the YouTube page. I have over 30 videos pretty similar to stuff like this to kind of help you learn how to read through the questions, understand what's being given, and then selecting the best answer choice. I also provide one-to-one individualized counseling, one-to-one individualized tutoring services for anyone that is studying and preparing for the LCSW or the LMSW exam. And I do have study cohort groups. Right now we are in a cohort session, and it's closed because tonight is the first night. So upon opening up the next cohort session, I will advertise and put that out. But for your studying purposes, the YouTube pages are free. I also have some podcasts that is filled with lots of inspiration and encouragement to help you through the process. And many people have found that to be really helpful to kind of help get their mind in a position to where they need to be to really focus on studying. So I want to continue to encourage you. I want to continue to tell you to state your why and highlight your goal and plunge forward and move forward and recognize that this is your journey. It's not anyone else's. You have to do what's right for you, what's best for you, create a plan that suits your need, and make sure that whoever you connect with and however you connect with, that you connect with that individual or that person or those people that's going to help you to reach your goal and your destiny. Have an enjoyable afternoon, a pleasant evening, and I will talk to you or catch up with you guys next time. Bye for now.